Hello friends, welcome back to another episode where people claim that they know the owner, but they don't. And it's the stupidest thing ever, I know, but the stories are really entertaining. The stories in this episode come from r/Tales from your server and r/Tales from retail. There's 4 stories in this one, and I hope you stay for all of them and subscribe for future videos. This one's titled, I Know the Owner. Just had the greatest I know the owner and you're gonna be fired experience. This woman was hella ripe because she used all of her fuel points when she prepaid for gas. But she hung up the pump before the next person using her discount could pull up, which cancelled the sale. She argued with me for a minute because I have no way to change anything about someone's loyalty membership. It can only be fixed by going to the customer service desk and having a manager call and request to change from the company. But she kept insisting that I'm able to, just choose not to. Eventually she goes to leave and hits me with the classic, I know your owner, they'll be hearing about you. I just looked at her and was like, we don't have an owner, ma'am, we're union. She wouldn't even look at me anymore, just silently stormed away. I don't think she even went to customer service. This one's titled, I am the owner, and you are no longer welcome here. First of all, this is not my story, but my friend Debbie's. This also happened about 15 years ago, so details may be a bit hazy. Debbie worked at the front counter at a local bakery, whose specialty was what they called football cakes. It was a basic chocolate cake with the logos of the 2 teams drawn in icing on it. They made these for the local high school games and some college and pro games. Since the Super Bowl's today, that's what reminded me of this. Debbie worked the front counter, while the owner and his kids worked in the back, baking, decorating, etc. The only caveat was you had to order these cakes at least 1 day in advance, though longer was better. The fridge in the back would get full, so they would put them up in the display case up front with a sign that said, reserved, not for sale. One day, a lady came in and asked for a cake for the Iowa Hawkeyes, the game later that day. Debbie asked for the name that she had reserved it under. The lady said no name, but she saw them in the display, and could she have one of those? Debbie explained that those were all reserved, and unless she had a reserved one, she couldn't have one. The lady blew up and said she needed one right now, and she knew the owner, and unless Debbie sold her one, the lady would get her in trouble, and if she wanted to keep her job, she'd sell her one. The owner heard all of this and came up front and asked what was going on. The lady said that Debbie was being unhelpful and wouldn't sell her the cake. The owner asked if she had one reserved, and when she said no, he said, I'm sorry, but we need at least a day reservation to make it. The lady again didn't like it and began yelling at him, saying that she knew the owner and would have both of their jobs. She looked at Debbie and the owner, pointed her fingers and said, you are both fired. The owner gave Debbie a subtle wink as if saying, I got this, just play along, and then said, oh, you know old Sedger who owns this place? Well, when you see him, tell him that I've been sleeping with his wife, and I'm sure she screams out my name during sex. Debbie said it took every ounce of self-control she had not to bust out laughing at this point. The lady then said, I'm sure he doesn't want to hear that, and if you sell me the cake I want, I won't tell him. The owner said, tell him all you want, but you're not getting that cake. If you want another one, I'm sure we can find something else for you. The lady said, no, I want a football cake. If I don't get one, I'll tell the owner about you two and have you both fired today. The owner finally gave up on his ruse and said, ma'am, you want to fire me? I'm the damn owner. I've never seen you before, and with luck, I'll never see you again. Please leave my establishment. At this, Debbie lost what control she had and burst out laughing. When the lady turned to look at her, Debbie nodded vigorously as if to say, yeah, he's the owner. The lady then turned bright red and bolted out the door, never to come back. I missed that bakery. I've said it once, and I'll say it again. If you claim to know the owner, at least make sure you know what the owner looks like, so you're not firing him when you're yelling. This one's titled, I Know the Owner. He would be fine with me paying tomorrow. The farm store is a community. Employees, vendors, customers. It's in a small town, so most people know each other and either know or have met the farm owner. That's cool, but people try to take advantage of that fact, especially the mere acquaintances of the owner, who will be named Farmer John for the purposes of this post. I received my fair share of dumb people pretending that they know the owner better than they do, to which I always say, yeah, I know him too. One night, this woman, FP for Fancy Pants, comes in 10 minutes to close and started doing some serious grocery shopping. Annoying enough on its own, but we're used to it, so we just close what we can. She finally makes it up to the checkout counter. I get everything rung up and bagged, but her credit card isn't working. I said, "It looks as though your card isn't going through." Fancy Pants says, "I don't have another credit card on me, and I don't have any cash." I told her that we can take a check if you have one with you. And she said, "No, this is all I have with me. Can't I just go home and come by to pay tomorrow?" I told her that I'm sorry and that I can't do that, and if she lived in a neighborhood close by, that I can hold the groceries while she runs home to grab the payment. We're okay with that. She says, "It doesn't matter if I live close. I don't have time to do that. I've got a conference call. I know Farmer John, and I'm sure he'd be fine with me coming back to pay tomorrow." I said, "Ma'am, I don't have the authority to approve that, and no managers on site currently. Either you'll have to produce a way to pay, or come back tomorrow when we open. I can store your items so you don't even have to reshop." At this point, she lays into me about how ridiculous this is, and how she's gonna complain to Farmer John, and all I do is repeat, "Pay, or leave your bags here." Suddenly, Fancy Pants gets that I'm not letting her just leave with $80 of groceries, and magically pulls out a different credit card out of her pocket. It works, she gets her stuff, and hates me from that point on. The best part is that 2 weeks later, she comes in and Farmer John's there. She says hi to him and tries to engage in conversation, and he clearly does not know or recall who this woman was. Did this lady just try to pull a scam that didn't end up working? Oh, I don't have any money. The owner says I can pay tomorrow, but then magically pulls out a credit card to pay in the end. I'm gonna go try that at the GameStop by my house. I really want a Nintendo Switch. This one's titled, "You're Lying. I do know the owner." This is from my days waiting tables in a very small local cafe around 2004. We had maybe 25 tables split between 2 indoor dining areas and a patio. My mom and I were waiting tables, and we had a dishwasher and a chef. I know chef sounds generous with the seating description, but he was the real deal. He worked under Emerald before he bought the cafe. We were breakfast and lunch only, and closed at 2 p.m. on Saturdays and Sundays. This took place around 2:15 on a Saturday. We were cleaning the dining room, and chef is breaking down the kitchen, and our dishwasher's running a last load of dishes and washing off kitchen crap. The doors are locked, but we had huge windows all the way around the dining room, so you can see us from the street and the patio. As I'm wiping down my last tabletop, I hear banging on the door. Ugh, there's a herd of 50-somethings in designer clothes staring through the doors at us. My mom, after a few bangs, goes over to see what they want. Maybe they're lost, looking for the local RV park or whatever. The entitled bitch says, "We'd like a table for 5 outside. Bring some tea and water with lemon." My mom says, "Sorry, we close at 2 today. We'll be back tomorrow at 6 though." The entitled bitch then says, "We came from the town 5 miles away. You've got to seat us. It's barely past 2. My mom then says, "The kitchen's broken down and we close at 2 o'clock. Sorry." She responded, "But we came all this way. We rode our bikes in the heat on the local bike path to get here." My mom stood firm and said, "Nope, sorry, we're closed as of 2. The entitled bitch then says, "Well, I know the owner and he lives right over on XYZ Street. I'm gonna go tell him how you're acting and that you refuse to serve us. I'm pretty sure he won't be happy that you're running the business this way." At this point, I've stopped wiping my table and I'm staring. My dishwasher's peeking through the other window snickering, and my chef is standing in the doorway to the kitchen. He hears her last snarky comment, and I see his face go from, "I'm tired, I got here at 2 a.m. to, "Oh no, you're not doing this right now." He strides across the tiny dining room and gently nudges my mom aside and says, "I'm the owner. What would you like to tell me exactly?" The entitled bitch says, "You're not the owner. X is the owner. I know him from college. You're lying." The owner then says, "Oh yes, X does own this building. However, this is my business. We close at 2, as you can see from the store hours." She then said, "Ugh, but we came all this way to get your biscuits. Why won't you make some for us?" The owner told her to come back when they're open, or not at all, since her attitude is as shitty as she was, and to get off the property or he'll have her removed. And he slammed the door in her face. It was beautiful. It wasn't the first time he'd handled an entitled bitch, but it was my favorite. Also, they went and got into their car, so no, they didn't bike all the way here either. Hey friends, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. This is episode 5 of people claiming that they know the owner, but they don't, so if you've missed any of the other ones, you'll want to go check the other ones out. If you aren't subscribed, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss future stories. See you guys in the next one.